Today, we'll follow the trails of three people who vanished from North Carolina under circumstances so bizarre, so layered in confusion, that even years later, the questions remain louder than any answer. A 9-year-old girl who walked out into the storm on Valentine's Day, a free-spirited young woman on a road trip that led only to mystery, and a teenager whose final night ended with a puppy, lipstick marks, and silence. These are the stories of Asha Degree, Leah Roberts, Zebb Quinn disappearances that still defy explanation. On the morning of February 14th, 2000, the town of Shelby, North Carolina, was drenched in cold, relentless rain. The skies were still dark when Harold Degree, getting ready for work, noticed something that sent a jolt of panic through him. His 9-year-old daughter, Asha, wasn't in her bed. The house was quiet. The door was locked, but she was gone. Asha wasn't the kind of child to disappear without a trace. She was quiet, polite, and always followed the rules. She was a good student, regularly made the honor roll, and loved playing basketball. Her parents described her as emotionally mature for her age, shy around strangers, but trusting with family and teammates. She shared a room with her older brother O'Brien, who remembered nothing strange from the night before. Everything had seemed normal. But sometime between 2:30 and 4 a.m., Asha quietly got out of bed, packed her book bag with a few belongings, and left the warmth and safety of her home. Later that morning, 2 separate motorists reported seeing a young girl walking alone down Highway 18, roughly a mile from her home. She was wearing a long-sleeved white shirt and white pants, completely unsuitable for the cold, rainy weather. One of the drivers turned their car around to check on her, but before they could reach her, the girl bolted into the woods and vanished. Search parties were formed immediately. Bloodhounds followed her scent briefly before it vanished near the roadside, suggesting she may have entered a vehicle or was carried away. Days passed with no sign of her. Investigators found no signs of forced entry at the home and no indication that anyone had broken in. It appeared Asha had left on her own. But why? A few days later, some of Asha's belongings were found in the doorway of an abandoned shed. Items including a pencil, candy wrappers, a hair bow, and a photo of an unknown black girl. No one could identify the child in the picture, and the discovery only deepened the mystery. For over a year, there were no breakthroughs. Then, 18 months later, construction workers digging along a rural road in Burke County discovered a backpack wrapped in black plastic bags. It was Asha's. Inside were her school papers, a Dr. Seuss book called McElligot's Pool, and a New Kids on the Block t-shirt. Neither the book nor the shirt belonged to her. The backpack had been deliberately hidden, carefully buried, raising fears that someone had tried to erase a trail. Investigators pursued several theories. One suggested Asha had been lured away by someone she trusted, possibly someone she met at school, church, or through another activity. Another theory pointed to grooming by someone pretending to be a pen pal. Some considered the possibility of sleepwalking, but that seemed unlikely. She had packed a bag, left without a trace, and evaded being found. That level of intention is hard to reconcile with unconscious behavior. Some darker theories involve abduction, possibly by someone familiar with the area. The fact that her scent trail ended abruptly, combined with the buried backpack miles away, strongly suggests that she didn't get far on her own. Yet, without evidence of foul play or witnesses willing to talk, the case stalled. Despite the passage of time, Asha's family has never stopped searching. Every year on Valentine's Day, they retrace her possible steps, handing out flyers and praying that someone will finally come forward. They refuse to let her memory fade. To them, Asha is still out there somewhere. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened. No suspects have been arrested. No credible sightings have been confirmed. Just a little girl lost in the rain, carrying a backpack with items that told only part of the story. Asha Degree stepped out of her home and into a mystery that has haunted her community and her family for over 2 decades. And still, the question lingers. Why did she leave, and who was waiting for her out there in the dark? But this wasn't the only young life that vanished on North Carolina roads. In the spring of 2000, 24-year-old Leah Roberts told her housemates she was heading out on a trip. She didn't say where she was going, only that she needed to get away. She packed her belongings, left behind a thoughtful note referencing life as a journey, and disappeared into the unknown. Her car was gone, her cat wasn't to be found, and her heart seemed set on escape. Leah's sudden departure didn't come out of nowhere. In the years leading up to her disappearance, she had endured series of profound losses. Her father had died suddenly of a chronic illness, and her mother passed away shortly after from heart disease. The emotional toll was heavy. Overwhelmed by grief, she withdrew from college, stepped away from her studies, and began exploring philosophical questions about life, death, and meaning. She found inspiration in the works of Jack Kerouac, especially his ideas of freedom and soul-searching on the open road. This wasn't a reckless decision. It was, in Leah's mind, a spiritual journey. She set out from her home in North Carolina with no clear destination, but her path seemed to mirror Kerouac's famous travels. She withdrew cash from her bank account, packed her clothes, her guitar, and essentials, and headed west in her white Jeep Cherokee. She didn't tell friends or family where she was going, but she wasn't running away, not completely. She left behind a note indicating that she planned to come back. 9 days later, her vehicle was found abandoned and wrecked in a remote area near Balsam Grove, North Carolina, deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Her Jeep had plunged down a small embankment and smashed into a cluster of trees. But something about the crash scene felt wrong. The damage didn't match the landscape. The airbags hadn't deployed, and a closer inspection revealed something alarming. A wire under the hood had been intentionally cut. Authorities suspected the crash may have been staged. Inside the Jeep, Leah's belongings remained. Cash was strewn across the seats, untouched. Her clothing, passport, guitar, her late mother's engagement ring, a blanket hung as a curtain, and her cat's empty carrier sat where she left them. There was no blood, no sign of a struggle, and yet she was gone. Tire tracks and footprints suggested more than one person had been at the scene. Surveillance footage from a gas station captured Leah in the company of an unknown man just days before her car was found. She appeared calm, and the man was never identified. Later, DNA testing on a piece of male clothing found in the Jeep led to an even deeper twist. The DNA didn't match anyone in the system, but it also didn't match anyone Leah was known to associate with, including her close friend Barry, who had helped investigate her disappearance. It added a chilling layer. Someone unknown had been in the Jeep, and that person has never been identified. In the weeks that followed, Tips trickled in from various states. Some said they saw a woman matching Leah's description at coffee shops or hostels. Others reported sightings in bars, wandering or keeping to herself. But none of those leads were ever verified. No credit cards were used, no phone calls were made. She seemed to vanish completely. Theories emerged quickly. Some believed Leah met foul play. Perhaps she trusted the wrong person during her travels, and things went terribly wrong. Others suggest she had a breakdown and wandered into the woods, lost or disoriented. More romantic theories hold on to the idea that Leah, burdened by grief and the weight of her past, chose to disappear and begin a new life under a new identity. But those who knew her, especially her siblings, don't believe she would have vanished willingly. She loved her family and she adored her cat. She wouldn't have left forever without a word. Now, nearly 25 years later, Leah Roberts remains missing. Her Jeep sits in an evidence garage, frozen in time, a silent monument to a mystery that's never been solved. No confirmed sightings, no answers, only questions that twist and wind like the mountain road she once traveled. Did Leah vanish by choice, seeking peace and solitude? Or did someone else decide how her story ended? The forest took her in, but whether she stepped into it freely or was taken by force, no one knows. All that remains is a crashed vehicle, an open road, and a hole in her family's heart that grows deeper with every passing year. But perhaps no case leaves more lingering dread than the final hours of Zebb Quinn. At just 18 years old, Zebb Wayne Quinn was filled with dreams and ambition. He was known as a polite and dependable young man who worked at a local Walmart in Asheville, North Carolina. Bright, responsible, and eager for more out of life, Zebb had plans to enlist in the military and build a future for himself. But those plans were tragically cut short on the night of January 2nd, 2000, a night that would unravel into one of Asheville's most perplexing and haunting mysteries. That evening, Zebb finished his shift at Walmart and told co-workers he was planning to meet up with a friend, Robert Jason Owens, to go look at a used Mitsubishi Eclipse that was supposedly for sale. Owens was a former co-worker, someone Zebb trusted. They left Walmart together around 9 p.m., and surveillance footage from a nearby convenience store shows Zebb purchasing a bottle of soda, calm, casual, and completely unaware that this would be the last confirmed sighting of him alive. From that point forward, the story becomes riddled with contradictions, strange behavior, and chilling coincidences. According to Owens, as the two were driving to see the car, Zebb suddenly received a page on his beeper. After checking the message, Owens claimed Zebb became visibly upset and asked to turn around. But here's where it gets strange. Owens later told police that as they were turning back, Zebb rear-ended Owens' truck before speeding off into the night. Owens said he lost sight of him after that. It's a strange claim, one that's never been fully corroborated, and it contradicts the calmness Zebb displayed in the store's surveillance footage just minutes before. But Zebb never returned home. He didn't show up for his next shift at Walmart. He didn't call anyone. His mother, alarmed by his absence, quickly filed a missing person report. The quiet hills of Asheville soon found themselves the backdrop of an eerie and confusing investigation. 2 days after Zebb vanished, a phone call was made to the Walmart where he worked. The caller claimed to be Zebb and told his supervisor that he was sick and wouldn't be coming in for his shift. But the voice didn't sound quite right. and suspicion grew. When police traced the call, they discovered it had been placed from the home of Robert Owens. Confronted with this, Owens said he made the call as a favor to Zebb. But the lie only deepened the mystery. Why pretend to be a missing person? Why would Owens insert himself in such a strange way? Was he trying to buy time or cover something up? Weeks later, another bizarre development occurred. Zebb's 1990 Mazda Protege was discovered parked at a restaurant in Asheville. From the outside, it looked undisturbed, but what investigators found inside only raised more questions. There was a live puppy, malnourished but alive. Scattered inside the vehicle were several empty drink bottles, hotel key cards, and perhaps most unnerving of all, a pair of lips drawn in red lipstick on the back windshield. The lipstick mark, surreal and theatrical, left investigators wondering if it was a message or a taunt. Who had left it? What did it mean? Was it left by a woman? Or someone trying to frame a woman? And who abandoned the puppy inside, alive but uncared for? Despite fingerprints and physical evidence, nothing definitive was found to point to Zebb's fate or his whereabouts. Robert Owens remained a key figure in the case, but no charges were filed at the time. He claimed to know nothing more. Years passed. Rumors spread. And still, Zebb Quinn was missing. Then, in a deeply unsettling twist, Owens would resurface in the headlines years later, but for something unrelated and horrifying. In 2015, he was charged and later convicted in the violent death of an infant child belonging to his girlfriend. He served time in prison for that crime, and suddenly, the man at the center of Zebb's disappearance was once again under the microscope. The case took a dramatic turn in 2017, when Owens was officially charged with being an accessory after the fact to Zebb Quinn's murder. Authorities allege that he had helped dispose of Zebb's body and had deliberately misled investigators. The details of what led to the charge were never fully disclosed to the public, but it was clear that new evidence or testimony had come to light. Even so, Zebb's body was never recovered, and no one has ever been convicted of his actual murder. To this day, theories abound. Some believe it was a crime of passion, possibly tied to a complicated love triangle involving a woman Zebb was seeing at the time. Others think Zebb may have uncovered something he wasn't supposed to, something dangerous enough to get him killed. Still others wonder if the case is connected to something darker, something calculated, something that's been kept hidden for over 2 decades. 3 lives, 3 disappearances, 3 stories that remain etched in the mystic corners of North Carolina. Asha Degree, the girl who stepped into the dark. Leah Roberts, the traveler who never returned. Zebb Quinn, the friend who never came back. No bodies, no answers, just silence. So, we ask you, which mystery stayed with you the most? And what do you think really happened? Let us know in the comments. And if you're ready for the next descent into the unknown, subscribe. The mystery is far from over.